After the Bolshevik Revolution of 1917, everything changed in Russia. The Tsarist regime collapsed, and a new system was established in which workers and peasants held power. This system became known as the Soviet Union. The new state sought not only to change the form of government but to transform every aspect of society, including education, the economy, culture, and, above all, science. Science was no longer meant merely to produce knowledge, but to rebuild and reshape the new socialist society. According to Soviet ideology, both nature and human beings could be transformed. For that reason, the Soviet Union began to support scientists, fund their projects, and sometimes even direct their work. One of the most notable figures of this period was the zoologist Ilya Ivanovich Ivanov. Ivanov had already been a well-known scientist before the revolution. In the early 1900s, he conducted important research on artificial insemination and crossbreeding among animals, attempting to create stronger species by hybridizing animals such as horses and donkeys. His successes brought him recognition both in Tsarist Russia and across Europe. Over time, however, Ivanov's work took a more unusual turn. He began asking himself, if crossbreeding could be done between animals, why not between humans and apes? This idea led him into a highly controversial field. Ivanov came to believe that it was theoretically possible to create a new living being by crossing a human with an ape. Many scientists viewed the idea skeptically, but Ivanov was convinced it could work and sought a suitable environment to conduct the experiments. He needed access to tropical primates and a laboratory that would allow him to work freely. To him, the project was not just scientific curiosity, it could also provide insight into human origins and evolution, and perhaps even contribute to Darwin's theories. The Soviet government, eager to push the boundaries of science for ideological goals, became interested in such radical projects and soon allocated official funding for Ivanov's research. Thus began the infamous human-ape hybrid project. In 1924, Ivanov traveled to Paris to meet with officials at the Pasteur Institute. He presented his previous animal experiments and expressed his wish to apply the same methods to humans and apes. The proposal was ethically shocking, but out of respect for Ivanov's reputation, the French authorities told him he could conduct the experiments in Candia, West Africa, where colonial oversight was minimal. Before proceeding, Ivanov had to secure official approval and further financial support from the Soviet Union. After going through lengthy bureaucratic steps, he finally reached West Africa in 1926. There, he set up a temporary field laboratory and injected human sperm into 3 female chimpanzees. None of the attempts resulted in pregnancy or embryonic development. Ivanov attributed the failure to poor laboratory conditions and loss of sperm viability, not to the impossibility of the task. Refusing to give up, he turned to a more controversial idea: if female apes could not be impregnated by human sperm, perhaps ape sperm could be injected into human women. In 1927, Ivanov returned to the Soviet Union and brought several live apes with him. He established a primate research center in Sukhumi, Georgia, near the Black Sea, a location chosen for its mild climate, isolation, and similarity to tropical conditions. The animals were placed in special cages, monitored, and prepared for experiments. Ivanov also began contacting volunteer women for the next phase of the study. Archival sources are limited, but some documents claim he personally met with 5 women who were told the experiments were part of a genetic research project. Before the human trials could begin, disaster struck. The only adult orangutan suitable for the procedure died suddenly of a brain hemorrhage, and the remaining apes were too young or biologically unsuitable. The experiments came to a halt. Meanwhile, Soviet science had entered a new ideological phase. By 1929, scientific projects were judged not only by their results but also by their political conformity. Ivanov's research fell far outside the party line. He was accused of using Western, un-Marxist methods, violating moral boundaries, and discrediting Soviet science. When his main supporter, Nikolai Gorbunev, lost his position, Ivanov was left vulnerable. In 1930, he was arrested without trial and exiled to Alma-Ata, Kazakhstan, where he died in 1932, isolated and forgotten. After the collapse of the Soviet Union, numerous conspiracy theories emerged. Some claimed the experiments had actually succeeded and that the results were deliberately hidden. Others suggested that Stalin himself had supported the project to create super soldiers. Although there is no proof of these claims, one thing is certain: Ivanov's experiments truly took place. Modern genetics shows that a human-ape hybrid is biologically impossible. Despite 98.7% DNA similarity, the remaining differences make such a being unviable. Ivanov's ambition and persistence reflected the boundless optimism of his era, yet from the very beginning, his experiments were doomed to fail. If you enjoy stories like this, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe for more, and take care of yourself.